debt to GDP ratio, and that program will hold. Really, in addition to the revenue measures that we saw in the budget and that are improving our GRA, that will give us the resources to move forward. Curtailing and managing our expenditures are going to be important. No, there's no rush to go back to international capital markets. Our expectation is that in managing our expenditure and increasing our revenue, we'll have the resources to it. Working towards the capital market is important because we then get our ratings up and make the country more attractive for foreign investors, especially FDI. But rest assured that no one is rushing to the international capital markets at this juncture.
Ghana is also slated to receive the first $600 million installment of the bailout fund on Friday, May 19, 2023. Here is Finance Minister again.
For the question, as Stefan has mentioned, there's a $600 million release. I'm sure I'll be working with him to see whether we can get it by tomorrow. And then we move on to the next 6 months, which will be another $600 million. And then we have about 5 different tranches every 6 months in the periods forward to get to the $3 billion. With regards to the issue of the negotiations and discussions of commercial and external creditors, we really are, at the beginning of that discussion, and therefore cannot really be specific about what haircuts or how that will end. But so far, discussions have been very cordial, and we hope that with the signals given by the fund, we'll also have an accommodation that will suit all parties.
On the part of the IMF, the approved program is one that is resilient and fosters inclusive economic growth. Stefan Rude is IMF Mission Chief for Ghana.
Just to give you a few examples, the 2023 budget and the associated revenue reforms were very important first steps towards putting public finances back on a sustainable track. To restore debt sustainability, the government has launched a comprehensive debt restructuring. And the Bank of Ghana has also taken decisive steps to control inflation, and these efforts are already paying off. These are all essential ingredients to address the current challenges and to boost Ghana's prospects going forward. Of course, help from the international community is also needed, and the IMF is playing its part. The $3 billion extended credit facility approved by our board yesterday will support the government's efforts to address this crisis and build the foundations for a better and more inclusive future for all Ghanaians. It will also help ease financing constraints, including by unlocking more funding from the rest of the international community. Ghana's economic program has three key objectives. The first one is to restore macroeconomic stability. The second one is to ensure that debt is put on a sustainable path. And the third one is to lay the foundations for stronger and more inclusive growth. To reach these objectives, several policy priorities have been laid out by the government. Look, the first thing I would like to emphasize is that, of course, this program is very much focused on restoring macroeconomic stability, anchoring debt sustainability, and it will also create the foundations for higher and more inclusive growth. So I think that's very important because this will set the stage for a much brighter future for all Ghanaians. But now to your question about the future, I think it's important to emphasize also that this is a program that is very rich in its structural component. It includes many reforms that cover a large range of sectors, and these reforms will make the economy more resilient to shocks in the future. And this is what the government and the IMF are looking for in this program. It's a program that will make the economy more resilient and more likely to withstand shocks in the future.
Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, remains hopeful that economic indicators would see some improvement once the account of the central bank is credited.
The issue is about resilience, and this is really what I tried to explain in my earlier intervention, that as at the end of 2021, inflation was at 12.6, and within a year it rose to 54.6 because we had a major challenge with access to financing, especially. And as Stefan said, a major part of this program is focused on fiscal consolidation. As you're aware, there are new revenue measures which would enhance revenue flows to the budget and therefore reduce the demand for financing. You've also had the implementation of the debt exchange program. So the foreign exchange outflows that are associated with debt service should reduce. And then the catalytic impact of the IMF flows, which would also help attract other foreign inflows, both direct and bilateral support. And all of that should help, in a sense, not only bring inflation down, but also help with exchange rate stability.
Now, players in the civil engineering society have blamed local assemblies for the frequent flooding on major highways, dismissing claims that design defects are the main cause. In an interview with Citi News, a civil engineer Abdullahi Mahama emphasized the need for local assemblies to take responsibility and address the ongoing problem of flooding. Now, Citi News' reporter Charles Owusu-Kumi provides further details in the following report.
Well, it's another rainy season, and as has been the case most of the time, parts of Accra gets flooded during the rainy season. We're actually now at Taifa Junction on the Accra Insamum Highway. This part of the road is a bit low-lying, so what's happened is that the water has settled here into a mini river on both sides of the highway, and it's become difficult for drivers to maneuver their way unless you're driving a truck like this one. Drivers who are using smaller cars find it very difficult. We've actually seen some vehicles broken down. We'll get some conversation with those drivers in a minute. Before we share with you the experiences of drivers on these flooded roads, a young man almost drowned during Thursday's downpour. The incident, which happened at Bawe Zero House, right in front of the boys' hostel of Faith Montessori School, had community members making frantic efforts to rescue the man who was being washed away by the flood waters. After some time, through a collective effort, the rescuers were able to pull him out alive. Now, here are our conversations with frustrated drivers on Accra's flooded roads. I realize that your car is broken down, and is it because of the flooding situation here?
Yes, they are now checking on it, but they say it seems there's water gets into the engine.
It looks like it's a bad day this morning.
Yeah. But it seems all the gutters are choked, so you can even see. And a lot of sand too. I don't know. I don't have much to say because this is my first time of facing this. So, yeah.
So you are trying to tow the car away from it?
Yes, we are towing it to the house.
What about the towing?
I said it's charging me 1,200. Yes, to Amasama.
That's some unplanned expense this morning.
Yes, I don't even have money, so I'm going to ask my dad if he can afford it or if he can help me. Because for now, I don't have any money. Because I took him to the hospital, we are going back to the house. So I have to get a taxi for him. So he has taken the lead.
Your Accra has not been spent.
No, but there's a problem with the road, and nobody is interested in fixing the problem. How do you have a high point here? This side is very low, and this side is high. Where does the rainwater go? And nobody complains. The big man come and then... The flood level was about 2 feet. I thought we could go through, and then all of a sudden it got stuck. So, the water has gone into the engine, and we have to tow it. That's all.
This towing truck driver who frequents the N6 says desilting the culverts is a sure way of curbing the flooding.
You know, me best steady at the end of year, no. You say at the more time it have a fakawa, a sea, normal frame, but me share, no. And the Grand Bridge in Ewa Hanamano, and when you now see. It is a soon free a sronum, eba, ebedu hanuma, sensor of ebecono, and more sentinel na attack winamo. It me little knowledge, kakra me wono. Me will say a ye, a mua, in sonutoa, ebefroaco.
The continued flooding of roads have become a worry for many. Some people have attributed the perennial flooding of major highways to defective road designs, but civil engineer Abdullahi Mahama disagrees.
The area, as you can see, is like a trough. The existing terrain is low. So once you have a low-lying area with two sides being high, obviously that's the place that you're going to have the settlement of water. Ordinarily, when you are doing designs, you are supposed to ensure that wherever you have a collection of water, you create a channel to let the water move as fast as it can. Unfortunately, we are confronted with a lot of indiscipline from developers, which is being more or less overlooked by the assemblies. And once the assemblies are overlooking, recasting to the developers, they will continue to do their construction just to make their money and go at the expense of other Ghanaians who will be suffering because of some of this. Yeah, the assembly is supposed to ensure that any physical development which is supposed to be constructed comes from the assembly. They are supposed to give a permit under the Land Use and Special Plan Act 2016. Any developer want to put up any building has to go to the assembly to at least show proof of drawings and other things. And then the same local government act also ensures that when you are going to put up a building in a flood-prone area, if it becomes necessary, you have to actually do a flood control measure. That will now be okay that the assembly can approve for your construction because I've actually met all the criteria needed to actually put the building within the same vicinity. Once you decide not to do that, as per developers, some of them, they will not be like citizens. They will do their work and then move away. And we think that when you look at the same area, atop the vegetation has already been taken away by developers around the Brekusu stretch, Pukwasi, Katapo area. And once those waters are coming down to Accra or to Taifa area, they are mixed with the granular material or the gravel. And when the water gets to this lowland, they are not moving as fast as they can. There's high deposition of silt that goes ahead to block the culvert or the channels that have been created by the road construction. Most time, the road construction doesn't actually bring about a flood. It's adjoining facilities which may be sitting on waterway. When you go to Ofanko, the Shell filling station is at a low-lying area. Just behind the Ofanko filling station is a huge building sitting on the channel. And I've made it aware, I've told the assembly responsible to go in and get those buildings demolished. As we speak, they have not been done yet. So obviously, we're going to continue having some of these problems every year until we get some of this mess out of the system.
Engineer Mahama also warns that people living in flood-prone areas should be preparing for the worst.
We've not gotten there yet. The rules have just set in. You see, sometimes the ground might be very hungry because of a year of, let's say, drought or lower of the water table. Now, once the water table is dry, the earth can consume a certain amount of water. Once it becomes saturated, you have the flow on the land. And then if the same Citi FM, I think CCTV, 3 years ago, I made it clear that we are paving all our compounds. So let's say if 10 houses continuously, they allow infiltration of water into their soil. And let's say every house can take about 10,000 liters of water within an hour into the soil. It will not have that speed flow of water onto the road. Now, if all these 10 houses have paved their compounds, made it impervious for the water to seep through, immediately start to rain, all this water will be coming on the. It doesn't mean the road has not designed properly. It's because the factors surrounding the road has now been compromised, where you are not having water to seep through the soil, but rather flowing onto the compound, because every place is paved. As for the road, you have to pave the road so that you can have smooth riding quality. But let's say 10,000 liters of water from one house times 10, 100,000 liters within an hour will flood the road.
For Citi News, my name is Charles Osiki.
You're watching the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. Still to come. Ghana Institute of Architects calls for a review of some local government acts to make it mandatory for professionals to be included in the construction of buildings in the country following the collapse of 3 separate story buildings recently. We'll tell you more shortly. Do stay with us.
Wow, this place has changed, yo! Yo, Ajma, look at you all grown up, yo!
Some things never change, like Gino's quality recipe that gives my food that rich color, unique natural taste every time.
Smells good, yo! Hey, sister, we did walk on Sanwan Casa, just like I remember.
Uncle, hurry up and let's open the suitcase.
Ajua, chai, let me shrink one part.
Best jollof I've ever eaten.
Wow, this is real jollof, mommy.
Gino dear, am I drowning at the Ankasa?
Say Gino dear, fie. It's delicious, yo!
This advert is FDA approved.
Mido, Ghana Biana. I'm going to do a swing every time I just a baby shit. Mankashi.
Junior!
I'm saying so enough for maybe the
Sister who's pa? It's a winning gas.
I'm using the why. My why?
Down Yankanawa.
Sister Coles. Use gas. Gas here fast, easy, convenient.
LPG, let me see your hand.
You're welcome back. Grateful that you stayed on with us. Now, 8 retail shops and restaurant managers have been apprehended by the Domestic Tax Division Task Force of the Ghana Revenue Authority for their deliberate failure to issue VAT invoices to customers. The arrest adds to a total of 93 individuals currently being investigated and prosecuted. The task force conducted a targeted operation in East Legon and Adenta, specifically targeting non-compliant managers. Our correspondent Fred Duo provides further details in the following report.
First point of call for the Ghana Revenue Authority Task Force is the Tasty Treats catering services located within the University of Ghana premises. And this particular eatery, we understand they've been issuing receipts without VAT. So they've been doing some kind of selective receipt issuance, which do not really add to the revenue of the authority.
Today we are coming as enforcement. Now we are coming to work for you to work as well.
So you came and
you understand?
And
so
you raised the
I myself,
with us, and then
my
managing director came to your office.
Please, no. Do you know where I'm coming from?
The Legon.
I didn't come from head office.
So then that means you are not in relation
No.
to
I'm coming to head office.
They picked up the manager and they are hoping to interrogate her further. And this is the very first point for the day. The second place the task force visited is the Luxury Wear located at East Legon, and the third place being Obsession. They are just adjacent to each other, and these two places also fail to issue VAT invoices to customers or people who go in there to purchase their items. And both of them are dealing in clothing and other materials. So the task force is picking one of the sales reps to go with them to their office, where they basically ask their managers to come and bill them subsequently.
We have been here last week to transact business with you. As a VAT registered taxpayer, you were expected to have issued Commissioner General's VAT invoice, but you chose to issue your own invoice, which is in violation to Section 41 of the VAT Act. Consequently, what we are going to do now is to pick your records for some preemptive assessment, after which then the CAD will take over.
Right, that we have taken this item from you.
Are you?
No, you are the company representative.
No, name and your signature. Your name first.
My name?
Yes.
Okay, many thanks. Do sign here and then write today's date.
Early May to transact business with you, and we were expecting that as VAT registered taxpayer, you issue the Commissioner General's VAT invoice. Unfortunately, this is the receipt you issue, which is your own receipt, manual receipt, which is not the prescribed receipt that you should have issued. As a result of this, we have to pick up your records and raise a preemptive assessment on you because you have offended the law, the VAT Act, Section 41.
At the end of today's exercise, the leader of the task force, Mr. Joseph Annan, has addressing the media on the whole exercise that was carried out today.
So we have been to places like Tasty Treat Restaurant at Legon, Obsession at East Legon, Luxury Wear, East Legon, Eco Furniture, East Legon, Paladin Doors, East Legon, AB Tissues and more, Adenta, and then TF Eatery, Adenta. We have 93 on our list. For the first week of test patches, we have another list that is being sifted through, and once we are done, it will come to add to what we have already gotten, which is the 93. And we are going to go through all the 93 cases that we have. And they are all going to follow the same process. There will be preemptive assessment, the recommendation for full audit, and there will be processing for court, which will be carried out by our legal department.
Generally, today's exercise led the task force to about 10 retail shops, including some restaurants that are not complying with the tax laws of the country. Essentially, according to the Ghana Revenue Authority, these individuals or managers of these retail shops are not issuing the right VAT receipts to customers anytime they go into shops to purchase their items. Hence, they are depriving the state of the needed revenue to develop the country. My name is Fred Duho, reporting for Citi News.
Research and public policy think tank CATS International is calling for the suspension of the implementation of the adjustment in electricity and natural gas tariffs. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, earlier announced an 18.36% increase in tariffs for both electricity and natural gas across all consumer groups effective June 1, 2023. But the policy think tank described the decision to adjust the tariffs as ill-timed. There is more in the following report.
According to the PURC, their decision comes after a comprehensive review conducted for the second quarter of 2023. In a statement issued by the Commission, the decision was made with the aim of striking a balance between averting prolonged power outages and their detrimental impact on jobs and livelihoods, while also minimizing the burden of rate hikes on consumers. The implementation of the quarterly tariff review mechanism serves the purpose of closely monitoring and incorporating changes in crucial factors that determine natural gas and electricity tariff. The PURC, in a statement, also identified several factors as contributors to the latest tariff adjustment, including the fluctuating Ghana Citi's US dollar exchange rate, inflation, and the composition of electricity generation sources. But in an interview with Citi News, CATS International called on PURC to immediately hold on with implementation until next year. They explained their reasons.
If you look at it, towards the end of last year, we had a major tariff review. And then February this year, another tariff review came, and I think the rate at which the PURC is adjusting the tariff upwards is not the best of consumers and also businesses, because when businesses make their projections for the year, they don't anticipate that tariffs will be jumping like this rocket jump. And the reason that the PURC gave is that the Citi has depreciated and the gas. We should suspend it at least for 1 month to see how the dollar and the Citi will be, and also how the gas prices will be. And possibly, if we are in May now, maybe when you go through March, June, it is possible that the gain in the Citi could even offset the price in the gas that has gone up, and then at the end of the day, they will come to a zero, and that there will be no exchange. There will be no need for tariff increase. That is what we are saying to PURC.
They also mentioned that it is not the time to adjust the tariff, especially in the wake of the IMF bailout meant to stabilize the economy.
The reason that the PURC gave is that the Citi has depreciated and the gas. But PURC knew very well that IMF deal was going to go through. And with the IMF deal coming through, the adversities and the miseries even the Citi suffered last year would start turning around to see a better and a new Ghana Citi. And so to use the Citi as a benchmark for upping the price for me was very, very unfair. PURC should not only be concerned about the books of the utility companies. Right. I'm not saying that we should run the utility companies down, but sometimes you need to look at the trend and see that, look, let us wait and see how the city and how the economy turns, so that we can decide to let this second quarter go on without any increment. And then if the variables changes, then we can do so.
Let's do some more stories now. And the Ghana Institute of Architects has called for a review of local government acts to enforce the inclusion of professionals in the construction of buildings in Ghana. The institute attributes the recent collapse of buildings to the absence of professionals such as engineers, architects, and planners in local assemblies who can supervise construction projects. This concern arises following the collapse of buildings in Accra, Adentan Municipality, and a 6-story building at the University for Development Studies City campus in Sanarigu. The following report has more.
Within a 3-week period, 3 building collapses have occurred in the country. The most recent incident took place at the University of Development Studies City campus in Sanarigu, where a 6-story building under construction collapsed due to poor construction work carried out by laborers. Prior to this, 2 separate 3-story buildings collapsed in Nanakrom in the Adentan Municipality. To address this issue, the Ghana Institute of Architects has called for a review of relevant local government acts which would compel assemblies to involve professionals in the construction of buildings, thus mitigating such incidents in the future.
When it comes to the professional capacity, the assemblies do not have. You go to certain assemblies and a planner, the background for the planner is, let's say, an accounts officer. Okay, how does accounts officer become a planner? You go, most of them do not have architects, most of them do not have engineers. They have the titles and they just pick the titles. Okay, but and they've not been allowing this for some time now, but we have to push to make sure that the institutions have their presence there. It is something that we have to encode. It should be part of our laws. It should be part of our acts. Okay, so we're calling for the review of some of the acts to make sure that the professionals work closer with, and the professionals within the private sector support the assembly to deliver their mandates.
During the inauguration of an ad hoc committee tasked with investigating these collapses, comprised of the Ghana Institute of Architects, the Ghana Institute of Planners, the Ghana Institute of Engineering, and the Ghana Institute of Surveyors, the president of the Ghana Institute of Planners, Mohammed Al-Hassan Damba, stated that the committee aims to submit its findings by June 5, 2023.
If we are able to enforce this in respect of these public institutions, that's going forward, then we can guarantee that there's a chance of some technical guidance happening. And so we wouldn't come to sit here to talk about any collapse. But you may have observed yourself that a lot of the collapses relates to the private sector, not public institutions. Because the public institutions have the benefit of professionals who are able to provide this guidance. Of course, we are not here to preempt, but if you look at one of the collapses, it's happening in an institution that is supposed to have a complement of all these professionals. So the findings from these investigations would lead us into what actually went wrong, whether all the processes were followed.
This is the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. Still to come. Citi 97.3 FM back on air with normal programming after temporarily suspending it following a lightning strike that caused a spike in voltage in the early hours of Thursday. Stay with us for the details.
Anyone can become a household.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You Go Flip, a real estate gaming platform that allows you to play and stand a chance of winning a house or cash or consolidated prizes, such as savings towards a house. Simple and easy to play. Visit www.yougoflip.com. Buy a ticket to enter the game. Wait for the end of the game to enjoy the win. Anyone can win. Flip it or own it. You Go Flip. This advertisement has been vetted and approved by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Play responsibly, not for persons below 18 years, and gaming can be addictive.
Welcome back. Let's do some politics now. And the National Democratic Congress, NDC, in the Greater Accra region is calling on all parliamentary candidates elected and candidates who lost the just-ended primaries to unite ahead of the 2024 general elections. The party says aspirants who won the primaries should desist from engaging in activities that may bring division in their respective constituencies. There is more in the following report by Citi News' Philip Nilate.
After a successful presidential and parliamentary primaries held in 32 constituencies in the Greater Accra region, the regional executives held a meeting with all elected parliamentary candidates, defeated aspirants, and constituency executives. The meeting sought to review the primaries and to foster unity ahead of the 2024 elections. The Greater Accra Regional Secretary of the NDC, Theophilus Tetechai, spoke at the meeting.
Where we've gotten now is a period for us to come together. And what we need from all of you, especially those who lost, you are the ones we even need more than those that have won. Because if you look at the results, Mr. Chairman, some of the results were very close. And it tells you that amongst the delegates, there is a sharp division. And these are things that in politics we should not lose sight of. So I'm pleading with all the PCs elect. The elections have not yet been won. It is just the beginning. And we can only win the number of seats, the over 25 seats that we are looking for, if we all unite as a body. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama indicated to all of us that his campaign team has been what? Dissolved on the day he gave his speech. He said he has what? Dissolved his campaign team. What he tells all of us is that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is ready to subject himself to the party, for the party to take its what? Course. And that is what we expect from all our PCs elect in the region.
NDC's campaign manager for the 2020 general elections, Professor Joshua Alabi, reiterated the need for all to remain united to enable the party win the next general elections.
Some of you won, and some of you, I would say you didn't win, but you have another opportunity another time. We can only win this election when we are united. We cannot challenge the MPP when it comes to money. But with unity, their money will be nothing. We've just finished a very important assignment, which happens to be the election of a flag bearer. There were 3 candidates. We said a lot of things, all of us. But I tell you, yesterday I called Dr. Kumawu and congratulated him. I called Ujobunsu and I congratulated him. So I don't see why we shouldn't do it at our level. Let's open our arms and we embrace everybody. And together we shall get there.
The NDC in the Greater Accra region wants unity to prevail amongst parliamentary candidates elect and also aspirants who lost in the primaries, as the party calls on them to work together to win the 2024 elections. Reporting for Citi News, my name is Philip Nilate.
Let's now take you to the Ashanti region, where in Kumawu, the upcoming by-election is just a week away, and construction workers are tirelessly repairing the roads day and night. This activity began shortly after the unfortunate passing of the area's Member of Parliament, Philip Baswa, Although the government has dismissed allegations that the road repairs are politically motivated, the constituents worry that the construction work may cease once the election is over. Citi News' Bureau Chief for the Middle Belt, Edward Opomafu, who observed the nocturnal road repairs, spoke with some constituents in the following report.
The late Philip Basua, who served as the Member of Parliament for Kumawu, passed away on March 27, 2023, resulting in the parliamentary seat being declared vacant by the Speaker of Parliament. The Electoral Commission has scheduled a by-election for May 23, 2023 in the area. As of now, the NPP has selected Ernest Yao Enim as its parliamentary candidate through the party's primaries, while Kwesi Amankwa represents the NDC as a candidate for the area. Interestingly, there are two independent candidates in the race who share the name Kwekudua. Kumawu has long been plagued by various challenges, including inadequate road infrastructure, limited educational facilities, and insufficient healthcare resources. Over the years, the residents have consistently voiced their concerns, calling on authorities to address the deplorable state of the roads. Following the death of the Member of Parliament, the Minister of Roads and Highways, Kwesi Amankwa, visited the area and outlined plans for road repairs.
No. I mean, by election, we will not move our government, our party, to go and start development project. Procurement will take not less than 6 to 8 weeks to do. So the fact that you have a contract, there's a contractor, and the contract has been signed and all, within these 2.5 weeks, means that it has been done already.
Construction work commenced soon after, progressing steadily. Notably, construction activities have been ongoing even during the night, seemingly with the aim of completing a significant portion of the road construction before Election Day. Although the Ministry of Roads has refuted any connection between the road repairs and the by-election, the Kumawu constituents fear that work may come to a halt once the election concludes. Consequently, they are urging the government to maintain the current pace of progress and ensure the timely completion of the project without abandonment.
Imagine they say no. I can't do mugusu fine. They know when man be na catch. They say boy na between na a cost my cost. You won't be paid. It say last 2 years been say John Chrome. Accra no bibi sasi. Accra no dey who say obi the machine be sisi somewhere kwa no ana. Obi a yeli we pena. Obi the machine sisi kwa e. Nemu ma ha dey. E gidi say sam na dey. Because said about Musa Guane cost of a baby. Muslim na contractors. Okay, what does over the way in Central for? The two are buying on Yama Edmano and Cosana, you see, become quiet. Yes, our battle for your battle prefer bet.
Yeah, they are quite here. A human to play more cranaja. Yea, big guy. Yes, Kaka Crania the Cook Marcia. Near coffee and my baton on a crack and a one and a from was our boys house of the years and the moon soya. See a fine day by my idea. They say about 20 years.
Citi 97.3 FM is back on air with a normal programming following a temporary suspension after a lightning strike caused a spike in voltage in the early hours of Thursday, May 18, 2023. All staff of the station are safe and the affected equipment replaced. The managing director of the station, Samuel Atamensa, gives a background to the incident in the following interview. As of Thursday, May 18, 2023, a number of listeners of Citi FM, 97.3 Citi FM, who are tuned into the biggest breakfast show on radio, the Citi Breakfast Show, hosted by Bernard Avle and the team, were thrown into a state of panic. Most people did not know what had happened, but the station had to go off for a number of hours. The issue was rectified. The station has been on air since. We want to find out exactly what triggered this and, of course, the solutions thereof. The Managing Director of 97.3 Citi FM and Citi TV, Samuel Atamensa, is here, and he will be giving us the details as to what happened in the early hours of Thursday, May 18. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and welcome to the Citi Newsroom.
Thank you very much.
Right. So, as I earlier established, the station went off for a number of hours. We had a number of listeners tuned into the Citi Breakfast Show, and we received so many calls and messages after the station went off, and the manner in which it went off kind of threw people into a state of panic. Exactly what happened?
So this on this particular day, which is the 18th, as you put it, we were having our normal breakfast show, and at the time, the Deputy Minister for Finance, Abena Asare, was the one who was with Bernard and the team, and we had experienced a lengthy period of rainfall and storms. So within that period, there were some lightning activities. So it was a particular act of the lightning that caused a spike in the voltage, which now caused the electrical discharge. So what then happened was the lightning causing voltage spike, which hit our system very hard. But we have experienced this before at our transmission site in Aburi, and so because of prior experience, we have always had protective equipment, which is what saved the day. So we have a lightning arrestor on near around where the mast is, that's outside the building, and then we have a surge protector or a surge suppressor within the building, which is attached close to where the meter is. And so after that activity, the spike in current or voltage passed through the system and hit first the lightning arrestor. And what the lightning arrestor is supposed to do is to deflect the voltage, pass it through the system to the earth. So it was supposed to do that, but I think that it was a bit too high, but it went beyond that and got to the surge suppressor, which now held it together. And in the process, it also exploded, and that's where it ended. Now, there were sparks of fire, which caused the smoke that we saw. So the protective equipment is what actually kept us safe. And so within a period of 1 hour, everything was restored, and we're back on air.
We've experienced rainstorms in this place this morning.
Well, this morning, I think it was a quick response. You know, the fortunate thing is it was our peak period, which would mean that the numbers present physically was high. And so people noticed it quickly, and that's in reacting to this, they had to rush to the studio, which is the shouting that people heard, that people should come, because they saw smoke, and not everybody understands the chain of activities. So they shouted which caused an abrupt end to programming. So that intervention then followed by a quick call to the fire service, obviously because they saw smoke. And while at that, social media had gone berserk with exchanges. So the police also got wind of it in a different way, because I think some of the people were reporting that Citi FM was under attack, obviously with prior knowledge of what had happened before. And so the police came in, the ambulance was there, the fire service was there. Within minutes, 4 or 5 minutes, they were all there. But granted, at that time, the fire had gone off. but they came in, inspected the facility, and gave us the go-ahead to reconnect, and that's how come we restored transmission within 1 hour.
Contrary to reports, especially on social media, and especially to how the police got wind of this was an internal.
The thing is, for most people, when it happens, it destroys their equipment. But because of the different layers of protection that we have installed, that's how come our equipment was not harmed, if you like. Yeah.
So this has happened. We're back on air. Everyone is safe. Programming is continuing normally. But going forward, how do you suppose we deal with such issues when they do?
I think that going forward, we don't expect that it will happen again. But it's a course of nature, and I think the way we handle this is the same way we'll handle if it ever happens. Touch wood, because we're in a rainy season. And as I said, it's happened to us before, not in Adabraka, but it's happened to us in our Ahirase transmission plant. And on that occasion, we were not lucky. It destroyed our exciter. If you know the processes of radio transmission, which meant that we had to invest in a new exciter, which cost us well in excess of $50,000. So we learned our lessons from that, and we got into, and within 2 hours, we got the equipment replaced, and then everything is normal.
For the listening public, and there was so much panic. I mean, I had so many calls, so many messages. What assurances are we giving them?
Well, I can understand why people will panic. It's Citi FM, of course, so people will panic. But, we have done everything we know to do. We've had our technical people sort everything out. The fire service has been there to inspect, and at this point, everything is okay. And we are back to our full transmission.
Oh, that'll be all for the Citi Newsroom here on Citi TV. Our website, citinewsroom.com, has more information on our top stories and more. Subscribe to CityTube on YouTube for more exclusive video content from Citi TV. My name is Nanatufu Obwating. Many thanks for watching.